The horrific pictures from Ukraine have dominated our screens all week, but amongst the horror of Russia's invasion have been acts of kindness and bravery. After a 1,500-mile journey from Hull to Lviv in Ukraine, Russian-born Boris Glikin, who lives in East Yorkshire, has reached a hospital with a convoy of vehicles full of medical supplies and aid. He set off from Hull 2 days ago. We've been following Boris on his journey, and he's been speaking to our political editor, Tim Iredale.
I refuse to sit there on my own and kind of like weep quietly. We want to raise our heads, we want, as whole city, we want to make our city proud.
This was the moment Boris Glikin announced he'd be embarking on a mammoth mercy mission across Europe. He set off from Hull on a journey that would take him across the Channel, through Germany, Poland, and eventually to the Ukrainian city of Lviv.
These good people of Belgium, originally from Holland, they gave us the refuge. We're just gonna like rest here. We're talking directly to the hospital. I rang him yesterday. I says, Vasily, please tell me specifically what you want. He's ordered walkie-talkies because when they go to bomb shelters, the mobile reception is disappearing.
This morning, Boris and his small team of volunteers reached the Ukrainian border.
Yeah, all the cars are getting checked.
Well, communication is really bad out there. The phone signal is terrible, but I've just received this update from Boris.
Right, team, hello. So these are the two people that managed to come through. And we met Svetlana here. Svetlana was working in Germany, and she was caught by this war. And now Svetlana is traveling to Zaporozhye, where they're bombing people, to bring her two kids that stayed behind. Svetlana has already been traveling for 1.5 days, and she's got another 2 days to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick her up, and we're going to take her to Lvov, and it'll be a little bit easier for her to come through.
Boris did reach the hospital in Lviv, but was advised not to take any pictures over fears that medics could be put at risk if their identities were revealed. Hello, Boris, what news?
Well, it was just amazing. So basically, we just drove to the hospital. They mobilized quite a lot of people to help us to offload the truck. They had some sandwiches, we had some tea, and they sent us on our way.
Well, Boris, I know you can't stick around too long in Ukraine. You have to set off straight back, but we wish you a safe journey. His good deed is just one of many in this bloody conflict. Tim Iredale, BBC Look North.
What a guy he is, Boris. He's a plumber from Cottingham, and he only thought about it 10 days ago, and then he went down to the Ukrainian embassy and said he was Russian. I can only imagine the response that he got. What a guy. Well, Tim will be presenting Politics North on Sunday, of course, as usual, and the war in Ukraine will feature heavily.
Well, we've just seen Boris out in Ukraine. Now all eyes are on the other Boris, the bloke at number 10, and what he'll do next. The government was criticised by many of its own Conservative MPs this week for the pitifully low number of visas issued to Ukrainian refugees. Cleethorpes MP Martin Vickers questioned what he described as the delays and slip-ups. Now, ministers say they've made the system simpler by allowing Ukrainian passport holders to apply for a UK visa online from Tuesday. Plus, there'll be a sponsorship scheme for Ukrainians with no ties to the UK to come here and live and work. But I've been speaking to some Yorkshire Ukrainians on what more our government could and should be doing to try to stop Putin's advances across the country.
Everyone is backing the president in Ukraine. You know, he's a national hero now. They want that no-fly zone.
Well, it's something we'll be discussing on Politics North. That's Sunday morning from 10:15 here on BBC One. Plenty to talk about, as always, Peter.
Absolutely, Tim, thank you very much indeed. Well, as families flee for safety to escape the war in Ukraine, it's meant that they've had to make some painful decisions about what to take with them, and that includes their much-loved pets. Charities say that some animals are being abandoned. Lisa Watkins is a wildlife artist from Scunthorpe and is now leading an international effort to save the pets. Jake Zuckerman has this story.
Refugees from Ukraine arriving in Romania with little more than a suitcase, and with them family pets also in need of food and shelter. Their plight has struck a chord with an artist from Scunthorpe. Lisa Watkins has organised an online art auction to help those fleeing with their pets.
I'm an animal artist by trade, and as a teacher I teach others how to draw animals. A couple of weeks ago, when we all started watching the news, I was lost as to how I could help in this situation, and I thought, well, let's see if my art and that of my fellow artists might be able to make a difference.
More than 150 works of art have been donated by artists from across the world. They're being auctioned on Lisa's Facebook site, Animal Art by Law, this evening.
Within the first 48 hours, I had about 60 artists from around the world, some I'd never even heard from, a couple of really big names in there as well. And now we are up to 160 donations. I was hoping to raise a couple of thousand, but at the moment we've worked out, even on minimum bids, this is going to possibly come in at about 10,000 for the first auction. And if everyone's feeling really generous, who knows where it's going to take.
And this is where the money will go. 2 charities in Romania who are helping care for pets that arrive in the country.
I'm every day going in the customs. I'm waiting for the refugees to come here, and I welcome them with all items necessary for the animals. There are so many people from Ukraine that are travel with their animals, and they are needing help with shelter, food, transport crates and vitamins. Also help with documentation for the animals, because not any animals that come here have passports.
Those leaving Ukraine with next to nothing are receiving help. And Lisa and all those involved in her fundraising efforts want to make sure the animals coming with them aren't left to fend for themselves. Jake Zuckerman, BBC Look North, Scunthorpe.
Yeah, more great work being done by Lisa. And I was hearing a report earlier today that some of the dogs left behind are turning feral and also turning on each other. Keep an eye on that one as well. As we've heard, the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine has seen some incredible donations of food, clothing and medical supplies from people across our area. Caroline Bilton has been looking at the latest advice on how you can help.
Over the last 2 weeks, these devastating scenes have dominated our lives. Many of us have been desperate to try and help in any way we can. Communities have come together to mobilise. Donations in their thousands have been pouring in, and this wave of kindness from East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire continues to flow to Ukraine. There are numerous drop-off points across our region, so let's just take a look at where they are. In Hull, there's the Freedom Centre on Preston Road and the former Staples building on Myton Street. Groups have come together in the city to form the Hull for Ukraine collective. In North East Lincolnshire, donations can be dropped off at the Carers Support Service in Grimsby in Town Hall Square. This will stop on Wednesday, though, to allow for a stock check to see what they need. The Scartho Appeal for Ukraine will be collecting in the John Fisher Hall car park in Scartho tomorrow morning. That's between 10 and 12. And in North Lincolnshire, the council says for now their collection points are full to capacity. So collections have actually been suspended there while staff deal with the enormous amount of donations received. In East Yorkshire, in Beverley, Beverley for Ukraine has paused its collections because they too have been overwhelmed with donations for now. In Lincolnshire, the Polish School in Lincoln is organising collections at Booltham Breakthrough Centre and Birchwood Breakthrough Centre. And in Spalding, the Boxes of Hope charity is also collecting donations. So let's take a look at just what is needed. Dried foods like pasta, canned foods, medication like painkillers, bandages, plasters, nappies and torches and batteries. What's not needed for now, clothing or bedding. Of course, the other way to help would be to donate money. And in fact, the larger charities are asking that people do this rather than buy their own things to send out to Ukraine. Here's Michael Mosselmans. He's from Christian Aid.
It can cost quite a lot of money to transport the physical stuff from here to Ukraine, which is sometimes more than the cost of the stuff itself. Whereas if you sent money, then they can buy the stuff in Ukraine or in the neighbouring countries in Poland or Romania or Hungary and avoid the transport cost. And therefore, the ultimate outcome is that the refugees get more.
So what would your money buy? Well, a donation of £10 could provide a hygiene kit to a family of 5, giving them supplies to stay healthy for a month. And £50 could provide blankets for up to 4 families. This crisis will continue for a long time to come. It's hoped people's generosity will too.
Caroline, thank you very much indeed. Amazing some of the generosity we've seen this week and the hard work. Let us know what you've been doing. If you want a quick shout out before the end of the programme, maybe doing stuff at school or at work, or somebody you think deserves a mention, here's how to get in touch. Usual ways, if you want to email in, text 81333, start the text with the word Look North, or follow me on Twitter. Now, last night we were talking about housing refugees from Ukraine here. Thanks for the emails, texts and tweets. Just a few of your comments. And I have to say, so much generosity came in last night. Amazing stories to read. Just a couple, though. Adam says, I'm more than happy to offer my 2-bed property for a temporary shelter just off Southcoats Lane in Hull for the Ukrainian people who are in need. Thank you, Adam. Lynn and Paul say, we're an elderly couple with a spare double bedroom and a single bedroom in a detached house with a large garden close to the shops. We are willing and able to take up to 3 refugees from Ukraine for however long they need. We live in Scunthorpe and we want to help. Lynn and Paul, thank you. Luigi says, we have just opened our holiday home caravan in Chapel St Leonard's and we would give it up for a family from Ukraine in a heartbeat. If only the government would make it easier to do that. I also think that lots of other owners would do the same. Huge generosity. Thank you very much indeed for all of those. And of course, we'll have more on the story next week. Some other news.